Today I want to start talking about the metric units. We're going to be talking about length, mass, volume, and temperature. Today specifically, we're going to be talking about length. Length is a measure of distance between 2 points. So the base unit of length is 1 meter, or lowercase m. We said that the unit of length is a meter. The base unit has a measurement of 1 unit. So in the case of length, it's a meter. For mass, it's grams, and for volume, it is liter. The base unit is 1 meter. So the base unit for volume is going to be 1 liter. The base unit for mass is going to be 1 gram. The base unit is where the measure is equal to 1 whole unit. Originally, in 1790, when the metric system was first being laid out, originally 1 meter was equal to 1 over 10 to the 7th the distance of the North Pole to the equator. So 1/10,000,000th, this number is 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1/10,000,000th the distance of the North Pole to the equator. That sounds like it is very, very accurate. However, it only works here on Earth. And it only works if you can, the distance from the North Pole to the equator never changes. So nothing ever happens to the Earth, and everywhere from wherever you are facing, if you're standing on the North Pole and drawing an invisible line down to the equator, we're assuming that that distance is constant no matter where you draw that line from. Thankfully, with the advancement of science, we've been able to make a more accurate, more consistent measurement. Now, 1 meter is equal to the distance that light travels in a vacuum, meaning there's no air or any other particles in a vacuum, in 299,792,458 of a second. That is pretty fast. We know the speed of light, it is a constant, meaning it doesn't change. And so now 1 meter is measured to be the distance that light travels in a vacuum in that amount of time. It's speedy quick. We know that a meter, or rulers rather, there's 0 and 1. The distance between 0 and 1 is 1 centimeter. And in between that 0 and 1 are a bunch of little lines. These little lines are millimeters. So 10 millimeters is equal to 1 centimeter. If I zoom out on my ruler a little bit, 0, here is 100, here's 50, let's imagine these are all equally spaced. Now the distance between 0 and 100 is 1 meter, and each of these little tick marks has 10 little lines in between them, and these little lines are each 1 centimeter. So 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. We can then say 1,000 millimeters is equal to 1 meter. And 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. Then I asked you guys, let's compare English units to metric. And I asked which is bigger. Here are my English units. And here are my metric units. With my English units, I asked which is bigger, 1 mile or 1 kilometer. Most of you guys thought that a mile was bigger. And that would be true. 1 mile is bigger than 1 kilometer. 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. So that 5-kilometer race is not the same as a 5-mile race. I asked which was bigger. 1 yard, which is equal to 3 feet, or 1 meter. And this was pretty close. Some of you guys thought a yard was bigger, and some of you guys thought a meter was bigger. A meter is bigger than 1 yard. 1 yard is equal to 0.9144 of a meters. And finally, I asked, which did you guys think was bigger? 1 inch or 1 centimeter? And most of you knew, so I was pretty proud. 1 inch is bigger. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So 1 inch is almost 2.5 times bigger than 1 centimeter. Now, if I was going to convert from miles to kilometers, I would use this conversion factor. We talked about these the other day. When you have two different values that are equivalent, and I know they're equivalent because I have an equal sign, I can write it in the form of a fraction with one over the other and use it as my conversion factor. And I can find out that my 5-kilometer race is actually equal to X miles Sorry, I did that wrong. What? Sorry. If I know that 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. Oh, I'm so wrong again. I want kilometers on top. 1.6 kilometers is equal to 1 mile, and I'm running in a 5-kilometer race. I was wrong the first time. I should just stop, but I feel like I've committed, so I have to go all the way. I'll try one more time. My 5-kilometer race is how many miles? There we go. 1.6 kilometers. My kilometers cancel out. I now have 5 over 1.6 is equal to X miles. And had I been really on the ball, I would have had my calculator at the ready for this before I started writing. But seeing as how I had trouble even writing the equation, 5 divided by 1.6. X is equal to 3.125 miles. So your 5-kilometer race is just over 3 miles long.